guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my 2021 planner flip through to share with you guys. This is the planner that I sort of DIY'd for 2021. So a couple things that I wanted to mention before I get into this planner. If the audio sounds a little bit different than usual, that's because I am just recording the audio on my camera. I don't usually do that. I usually do voiceovers on a dedicated mic, but I don't have a mic that attaches to my camera, so the audio might sound a little bit different. It is also rush hour, and I do live on a fairly busy street as it is, but this was the time that I had to film this video, so I'm sorry if you hear cars going by in the background. I will try to cut as much of that out in editing as I possibly can. So I also wanted to mention that at the end of this video, I'm going to be going through all of the materials that I used to create this planner. And I will leave as much as I can linked down below so that you guys can recreate this if you feel so inclined. So without further ado, let's just get into the planner. So the first thing that I want to mention is the inspiration for me creating this planner. I was inspired by Mandy of Mandy Dreams and Shira of Love Shira to create a DIY sort of planner like this one. And I will link their videos in the description box down below. In case you are interested in checking them out, I definitely recommend checking out their videos as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. So this is my 2021 planner. First thing that I wanted to mention is I did bind this with the Happy Planner rings. These are, let's see if it'll focus. These are the 1.75 inch diameter rings from Happy Planner. I of course will leave these all linked down below for you if you are interested in checking them out. And this cover is from Stylish & Co. Unfortunately, she no longer creates planner covers. So I purchased this cover in particular, I think back in February of 2020, when I was really fed up with my Erin Condren planner and just knew that I wasn't going to be purchasing one for the next year. So I did get a chance to purchase this from her before she decided to stop selling her planner covers. But I believe you can get her artwork or her planner cover artwork in a printable version, so I will still link her shop down below. So the first insert that I have in here is from ChristinaPlans14. It is her year at a glance, so it's just this cover page, this year 2021, and then the sort of year at a glance. And then we get into the first divider. Now this divider I actually created myself. This artwork is from Holly Nichols on Etsy. I will link her Etsy shop down below so you can check her out. But I did print this out myself on cardstock and I laminated it myself and I just put it in here. And this is getting into my monthly section. So my monthly inserts are also from ChristinaPlans, and this is what they look like. They're very similar to a lot of monthly spreads I'm sure you guys have seen. They are the Sunday through Saturday, and then the sidebar is on the right side of the planner instead of on the left, which I tend to prefer anyway, so that works out well for me. So this is her insert that has the monthly alternating with the grid pages. And yeah, I almost wish that this didn't have grid pages between the monthly spreads because I feel like I won't use these very often, but yeah, so that is what I had purchased. And I do still really like the monthly inserts themselves, and I do like to keep track of my highlights in my planner. It's just sort of my reminder for some positivity in my life, so I wanted to keep going with that for 2021. I'm not going to go through each individual month because I feel like they all pretty much, for the most part, look the same as a usual monthly spread would. And then we get into my next divider, and this goes into my weekly section. This is again art from Holly Nichols, and of course I will link her shop down below where you can check that out. And this is again another divider that I have created myself. So here we have the weekly section of my planner. This is the undated weekly. because on Jasenia's dated versions of her weekly spreads, I believe she has the sidebar on the right, which in my weekly spreads I tend to prefer my sidebar on the left side, so I just wanted to keep with that, and so I just went for the undated version. So I think I printed out either 52 or 53 weeks worth of these weekly spreads. I know I usually like to double dip the last/first week in every year, so like the split week between December and January, when it is a split week, I like to have that in the, like for this year, for 2020, I'll have that week in my 2020 planner and also in my 2021 planner, if that makes sense. So I printed out, I think, an extra week for that purpose as well. All of these pretty much look the same, and I just have one more section in this planner to show you. And here is the last divider that I made myself. This artwork again is from Holly Nichols, and this is my book log section. So this book log printable is from Annie Plans Printables. I really, really like this book log, and the reason I like this one so much is because it's really compact. So I can write, you know, the title, the author, when I started it, when I finished it, and sort of my own rating system in here. I do use Goodreads to track my books that I read throughout the year. I really hope that this is focusing on the word, like on the actual printable sheet as opposed to focusing on the rings. I'm a little bit worried that it's focusing on the rings instead of on the printables. But maybe at the end I'll try to go through and do a little bit of a close-up on what the sheets actually look like. But anyway, I like this book log because it is really compact and it can fit a lot on here. I think it's like, what is it, 8 books per page, 7, 8 books per page, something like that. And I've really been enjoying reading for like the second half of 2021, or 2021, for the second half of 2020. I've really been enjoying reading a lot, and I've been tracking it in my current planner in a different way, and I haven't really been super happy with it, but I don't know, I thought that this was a good way to keep track of the books that I read in 2021. And so that pretty much takes us to the back of my planner, and then this is just what the back cover looks like. It's very similar to the front cover, it's just doesn't have any words on it. Oh, and I should mention that I did also get this customized from Stylish & Co. But yeah, so that is sort of my planner in a nutshell. I tried to just use inserts or print out inserts that I knew I would use, because I feel like in my Erin Condren planner there are a lot of blank pages that I don't use. They're like notes pages or extra pages between the monthly sections, or I think like at the very beginning of my planner there's a goals page that I never use it. And so I wanted to create my own planner, not only because I haven't been super happy with the quality of previous planners, but also because I wanted to sort of streamline what is in here so that I don't feel like I've got extra pieces of paper and wasting extra paper that I don't need to use. So really quickly, I did want to show a little bit of a comparison in the ring sizes. So this right here is my current, this right here is my current 2020 planner. This is my Erin Condren planner. This cover is also from Stylish & Co., which I'm sorry, you won't be able to get like the actual physical cover from her, but you can get printables. Although I'm not sure about the selection of what art she still has on there. Anyway, this is my current 2020 planner. She's very thick. She's very thick, very chunky, and I wanted to make sure that with this new planner that I created for myself, I would have enough room in the rings to sort of be able to expand. And so I think these rings, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that super well. I think they're just slightly larger than what's on my Erin Condren planner, and I'm not really sure how that's going to work out since this is sort of a disc-bound system as opposed to a ring system, so that might take up a little bit extra space that I wasn't really accounting for just in the way that it's bound. but I'm hoping that I will have plenty of room for this planner to grow. I know it looks a little bit awkward right now with the rings being so large and there being so few pages in here, but I really just wanted to make sure that I had some extra room to grow. And I did also want to mention that I know the cloud is a fantastic option from Aura Estelle, but I am not personally a big fan of ring planners, like in chunky, thick binders. It just, to me, takes up a little bit too much space. So what I really liked about this system is that I could just have like a plastic cover and that would keep it sufficiently protected. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. So a couple things that I will mention as far as materials that I used. So I went through the cover and the rings, but the paper that I used for all of the inserts, I'm sorry for the rustling that's going to happen. So it is this, let me go ahead and zoom out just a little bit. Oh, that's as far as it zooms. Okay, so it's this Premium Choice Laser Jet printer paper. It is the 8.5 by 11 that I used and then cut it down to size. This is the A5 wide size printable. I totally forgot to mention that. I am so sorry. All of these printables are A5 wide size. And yeah, so it's the 32 pound or 120 GSM paper. The brightness is 163. I did purchase this in bulk because I used to print out inserts for like a B6, what was it? A B6 Traveler's Notebook, I think, for a while. And then for a while I was using a personal wide rings. That was sort of when I was in school, I was using more than one planner, but now that I'm not in school anymore, I'm really not. So yeah, this is the paper that I'm using. I will link the exact link that I have used to purchase it down below. It will be an Amazon link. You might be able to find it cheaper somewhere else, but at least you'll know exactly which version I purchased. So that's the paper I used for that. Okay, the next paper I wanted to go through is the paper that I used for the dividers that I made myself. Now, I didn't add tabs to these dividers because I really don't have very many sections, and to be quite honest with you, tabs are a little bit annoying to me. So I just made these a little bit wider than, like, here's where the insert ends and then the divider is wider than that, so that I could just flip to whatever particular section I was going for pretty quickly. So I just took the dimensions from the A5 wide inserts and basically just printed and cut these dividers out to be the same size like on the cardstock, because I knew that when I laminated it I would have to have a little bit of extra room on the outsides to like cut around the laminate and not like into the air pocket that's around the laminate, if that makes any sense. I don't know. If that was confusing and you have questions about how I did that, please let me know in the comments down below. But yes, so the cardstock that I used is this Astro Brights cardstock. I believe I purchased this from Amazon as well. The one thing that I wasn't super happy with, that I didn't realize when I originally purchased, is that the white of the cardstock on the dividers is a little bit creamier than the bright white of the planner pages that I created. So yeah, I guess I'll get into that in a second, but this is the 65 pound cardstock from Astro Brights, or 176 GSM. The brightness is 96 on this one. I'm not really sure how the brightness scaling works exactly, so that's a me problem. But yeah, like I mentioned, the creaminess of this paper is a little bit jarring, at least to me when I'm looking at it. It's not totally my aesthetic that these two whites don't match. So if that is something that you are picky about and you want to create a printable planner like this, definitely I would say maybe try to take a look at the brightness levels on your different papers and see if you can find some that match. Or maybe just look up how the brightness scale works, because clearly I don't understand. So yeah, that's the paper that I used for these dividers. I also used these Scotch thermal laminating pouches in the 8.5 by 11 size, and pretty much just ran them through my laminator and cut them down. Now the laminator that I have, you can no longer purchase. They did discontinue it, so I can't tell you exactly which one I used, but mine is Scotch brand, so I did pick up the Scotch brand laminating pouches to use along with that. So I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit here as well on the printing, if it will focus. Come on. There it goes. So I just wanted to focus in on the printing a little bit, just to mention that the printer that I use to create everything here is a color laser printer from HP. I believe that has also been discontinued. I bought it in like 2014, so the thing is like 6 years old, and it's probably still somewhat a miracle that it still runs. But yeah, so I've had really good luck with my HP color laser jet. I know they are not the most affordable printers, but I did purchase it while I was still in school and had, you know, like a reason to use it. But it's not necessary to have a laser printer to print your inserts. That's just what I have. So there's that. I'll go ahead and zoom out again just a little bit. So the other thing that you're going to need is a Happy Planner punch if you plan on using the disc-bound system. I do really like the traditional Happy Planner 9 punch here. That's what I've got. I believe I purchased this from Amazon. I will go ahead and link the exact link that I used down below if I can find it. You can also get these at Michael's and I believe Hobby Lobby as well if you are interested in picking up a Happy Planner punch. One of the last things you will need is some sort of paper cutter. Now I'm going to show you my paper cutter. Oops. It's also pretty old, and I'm fairly certain they've discontinued this as well. I've had this for a long time because I've been printing inserts for myself for quite a while. So this is the Fiskars brand paper cutter that I use. Now, if you see this one, I don't recommend that you buy it. It's not my favorite. It's actually kind of crappy, and it might be that they've fixed things in their engineering department and they've sort of made things better, but here are a couple reasons why I don't like this particular paper cutter. So whenever you line the pages up with either of these grooves on these sides, it's not square with this cutting surface. So you end up with your pages, like the corners of your pages. I know it's really subtle and probably hard to tell, but this is not a 90-degree angle, and it drives me a little bit crazy. So that's the first reason that this is not my favorite, but it's what I had, and I just decided to make it work. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out one of my pages here. Maybe I should zoom this in instead of trying to force my camera to autofocus so much. Let me find a different color background so I can show you exactly what I'm trying to show you here. I will be right back. Okay, I'm sorry if that was a jarring jump cut, but here we go. I just grabbed a manila envelope to sort of put behind this monthly insert page. Uh-oh. There it goes. I think we're focused again. Okay, so if you can see the... I might have to put this on autofocus. It's struggling. Okay, we're back and on autofocus. So if you can see, these are the cuts from the Happy Planner disc bound punch. Now I feel like these are pretty good quality cuts. They are, sorry, there's like dog and cat hair everywhere because I have fur babies and they shed. So sorry about that. But the cuts from the Happy Planner punch And granted, I did just rip this right out of my planner, so they look a little wonky at the moment, but bear with me here. So these are pretty good quality cuts. They are pretty, I don't, straight's not really the word, but they're just, the cuts are clean. And there's not really any sort of like page bending or anything like that with these punch cuts. Now what I don't like about what let's see, how do I want to do this? What I don't like about how my paper cutter trimmed these is that there's a little bit of a lip here. And I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see it on camera, but you can definitely tell that. Let's go ahead and put it back on autofocus and see if we can get it to function. So you can see that the edges here are a little bit frayed. Now I've tried changing the blades on my paper cutter, and that doesn't really seem to help. And even using a new blade, I get a little bit of this like fraying. And on one side, it looks like the paper is folded up. The other side, it looks like the paper is folded down a little bit. And the reason that that happens is because this cutting surface is basically, it's basically a divot, if you can see my nail going into that divot. And so what happens is as this blade is slicing through it, it's pushing the paper down into that cutting divot. And that's part of what makes the cut, in addition to, let me see if I can get this blade off. There we go. In addition to this itty bitty blade. If it'll focus. It's thinking about focusing. So this little itty bitty blade sort of helps cut and then also pushes the paper into that groove that I just showed you. So if you can get like one of those guillotine kind of paper cutters, I definitely recommend it. I bought this when I was a student because it was cheap and it worked, but it's not the best quality. So all of that to say, I'm not a fan of my paper cutter. But it works. Sort of. I can make it work. I guess we'll put it that way. So just something that maybe you guys can learn from my experience if you are planning on creating a sort of DIY planner yourself. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this back into my planner. Another thing that I guess as I'm putting this back in, I'll mention is that toward the edges here, you can see that there's not a whole lot of paper at the very edge of the planner at the bottom or at the top. So I would say if you can only put like 8 of the discs on your planner and somehow punch it so that you only have 8 holes along the side instead of 9 if you're using A5 wide inserts, I definitely recommend it because I feel like the top and the bottom are a little bit flimsy. And I would definitely, next time I do this, I would probably try to figure out a way to somehow take this apart and take one of these off, or maybe recenter it so that I'm only getting 8 of the 9 punches through the paper, just because I feel like the top and the bottom of the page might be a little bit flimsy and they might rip as I use my planner a little bit. Now, granted, I did use a pretty thick paper. Like this is a pretty, I don't know, this is a pretty thick, smooth paper, and it is pretty high quality, and I have been really happy with it in other inserts that I've used, or other inserts that I've created with this same paper. I have been pretty happy with it. But just for some added security, if you only want to use like 8 of these discs and only punch 8 rings, I would recommend doing it that way. Because I have regrets, and frankly, I'm not going to go through this whole process all over again and waste all of this paper and repunch and reprint, and it's just, it's not gonna happen. I know myself enough to know that I'm not gonna go ahead and do that. So, learn from my experience, only use 8 discs instead of 9. I think you'll be happier with the outcome. So that is pretty much my 2021 planner. I think really quickly I might go ahead and just do, or try to do a close-up of what the different inserts look like really quickly in case it didn't focus. I'm not 100% sure if it did. It's a little bit hard to tell on my viewfinder, but yeah, in a nutshell, that is my 2021 planner. We'll just go ahead and zoom in a little bit. I know you're not going to really be able to get the entire... Let me just take out one example maybe. One example page of each. And maybe you'll be able to see that a little bit better. So here is the year at a glance. All right, here is the February monthly. Let me just, I might zoom out. Since maybe I don't have the rings in the way, maybe that'll focus a little bit better, I hope. So there is the February monthly. I'm just going to show one example of each. So here is an example of the weekly layout. I think that might be a little bit better. Here's a little bit of a zoom in so that you can see sort of the print quality. I am pretty happy with how these printed as well. I feel like this paper really does well with laser jet printing. Granted, I don't have an inkjet printer, so I'm not sure how it would work with inkjet printers, but usually the paper will tell you which type of printer it's better for. All right, and last but not least, here is what the book log looks like. This is just the cover page and then the actual log itself. So hopefully that gives you kind of a better idea of what the inserts themselves look like. All right, everyone, so that is my 2021 sort of DIY planner. If you have any additional questions that I didn't answer in this in this video, because I am doing this live. Anyway, if you have any additional questions that you want me to answer, go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below, and I will try to get those answered for you as quickly as possible. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in my next video very soon. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe and happy holidays. Bye, guys.